Western Wichita, we would urge you to be in your shelters now. Remember, we want to move to the basement if you have a basement, lowest level of the house if you do not have a basement, in the center of the house, and if you don't have a basement, get into a small room with no windows and cover yourself with mattresses, blankets, pillows, whatever you can get in there with. If you have a basement on the west side of Wichita, you should move there now. As JD just told us, the National Weather Service office at Wichita Mid-Continent Airport now has taken shelter, and so the Topeka office is now taking over the warning situation for this storm as it is coming up into the central part of Wichita. Now, I might mention, for those of you who are elsewhere in Kansas, we have not forgotten about you, but I would say it to you this way. If we are not talking about you at this point, that's a good thing. I would urge you to be prepared for quarter to golf ball sized hail on any of these other storms and warnings that you see in central and eastern Kansas. Those of you in Wichita have the most serious situation. As you can see, a storm coming right up into the heart of the west side of Wichita with a history of producing tornadoes, and now multiple reports of a large confirmed dangerous tornado coming right up K42 toward Wichita Mid-Continent Airport. Kevin, it sounds like we're getting some hail right now. And JD, I trust that anytime you have fresh information that we will jump back in together and continue.
Yes.
We have this storm coming right up K42 toward the airport. So again, those of you who are in West Wichita, we would urge you to be in your shelter immediately. Those of you who are in the central part of the city, we want you to be prepared to move to shelter. And those of you on the east side and south sides of town should monitor conditions very carefully. Stay with us for the next couple of minutes. We'll make sure that to give you the information that you are needing. Again, those of you in West Wichita, we urge you to be in your shelter. Go to the shelter, go to the basement, get in the center of the basement, get underneath something sturdy, workplace, workbench, work table, flip a sofa over, crawl inside that. If you don't have a basement in the west part of Wichita, we would urge you to move to a small room on the lowest level of your house, middle of the house with no windows, bathroom, hallway, close all the doors, make a small room if your house has windows in the bathroom. Pull some mattresses, blankets, and pillows, get them up over top of you. This is an extremely serious situation coming into West Wichita with a confirmed destructive tornado on the ground. And we're watching this. JD, this is looking very serious as we look south and west from downtown.
And I don't want to, be the guy to use big words to alarm people, but just reading what the Weather Service is saying, they're calling this catastrophic now. I mean, they're using some harsh language, some strong language in this storm. They're saying confirmed, large, violent, and extremely dangerous tornado. And I got to tell you, I've grown up in Kansas most of my life. I'm from Salina. I've been around. I've seen these things. And words like this, I've not heard these in a while. And it's just one of those things that really tells you what kind of a situation this is, number one. And number two, this is impacting the largest city that we have in the state of Kansas, bearing right down on Wichita. And this is not one of those deals where this is Doppler radar indicated or anything like that. As our MetroCam continues to get clouded up with rain and a little bit of rain fade there as the storm moves more to downtown. We can hear the hail here. We've looked at the radar view numerous times. It's that classic notch that you see on there. And again, this is one of those deals where we've said it over and over. If you're not in your shelter now, I don't know what else you're waiting for. You need to be in that shelter. This is a dangerous situation.
I like what you said, JD. It's not our intention to use the really, really strong language very lightly. We don't do it here very often. We know our friends at the Weather Service do not either. But folks, we've had multiple reports now of a large destructive tornado coming right up K42 into the southwest side of Wichita. So if you are in West Wichita, be in your shelters right now. Time is of the essence. If you are on the southwest side of town, you need to be in shelter immediately. Those of you who are west of I-235, it's most critical, but even inside I-235 now, I would urge you to be in your shelters. Very large, destructive tornado. National Weather Service using very strong language. As you just heard, JD and I absolutely agree with what they are telling us. This is, by all indications, potentially the one that we all fear for Wichita. So be in your shelters on the west side. Again, just to review, if you are in a house with a basement, go to the basement, get in the center of the basement, get underneath something sturdy, work table, workbench, flip a sofa over, crawl underneath it. If your house does not have a basement, get to the lowest level that you can, center of the house, a room with no windows. If you have windows in all of them, get in that middle hallway and shut the doors. Cover yourself up with blankets and pillows and hunker down. Turn the sound up on your television so that you can continue to hear us and our radio partners. And also, of course, if you are monitoring on KSN.com, continue with the live streaming. Back to you, JD.
And again, Dave, not to go too much with the wordage here, but the Weather Service is calling this a tornado emergency for the city of Wichita. They're calling this a tornado emergency for the city of Wichita. And we've no doubt been saying this for a while, and I tell you, this is... It's not one. You can hear the hail coming down here, and no doubt you see what's going on here. I don't know what other words you want us to say to you. I don't know what else you want us to do. I know we're here to help you out in this situation. Hopefully you're in your shelter and you're watching us here this afternoon. You can ride this thing out with us as well. It's like what Dave just mentioned. It's one of those things. We cover these storms all the time. We talk about this all the time. When they hit a city like Wichita with the amount of people here, the infrastructure, everything else, this is just a huge thing. We never want this to happen, but this is where we are. This is the reality. We can't prevent anything. We can't undo anything. So I want you to stay with us in your basement. I want to try and be as calm as possible here this afternoon. I realize what may happen out of this situation. Let's try to stay as calm as we can during this, and let's ride this thing out together, all right? Let's get through this. So we're watching things here. This is the radar site. This is the radome in the southwest part of the city of Wichita. This is along Tyler Road. Weather Service, they took shelter. They're back at it now. This is the notch on this storm, but I don't know if this is the newest image that's come in or not. I'm not sure. Is that
JD, we have a power hit earlier that took down one computer. It does appear to be back up and operating. This does jive with our other sources of information as well. So it looks like this is moving now into the heart of Wichita with the circulation now just to the southwest of the downtown. And we have actually already told our folks here at KSN to move to shelter. Okay, well, it's again, one of those deals where you don't want this to happen, but here's where we stand right now. The hail is just pounding the roof like crazy at this point in time. And again, we're going to watch this. If you're not familiar with exactly where we are, I'll back out of the screen a little bit. There you can see Wichita. Here is 135. Here is 235. This is Metro Wichita. This is the radar site, which sits out southwest. Goddard is just off to the edge of your screen here. And again, you look back to the city of Wichita, downtown. Our studios are about in this area right here, right now. And again, you've got Hayesville down this way. And I also understand, and I do apologize for this, I understand that we have been streaming with our partners on Clear Channel Radio, all of our various stations out there. And I do apologize for not acknowledging that sooner. I do want to welcome those folks in, and thank you very much for streaming along with us here. We also have folks who are on KSN.com who are no doubt watching us right now as this storm bears down on the city of Wichita. You know, JD, in 20 years, I've never said this, but I think it's our time to go. Dave, I really do. We've been monitoring the conditions here downtown. So at this point, folks, we here at KSN are moving to our shelters. We are moving to our shelters. JD and I will continue to talk with you as long as we can. We're leaving the radar image up, but it appears that it is time for all of us to get to shelter. Get to shelter right now. Ryan Newton. Ryan Newton. Now, Ryan. Now. Everybody down below, let's go.
And again, we're going to watch this as close as we can from our shelters.
The image that we have up, it may be a little bit less. Let's put our backup up.
Which backup do you want to use? Yeah, that's no. Okay.
We think that this is a little bit better updated image for you. Showing the storm going by the downtown and getting ready to move into East Wichita. Apologize for a little bit of feedback. JD and I are actually 4 feet away from the stairs to the basement. Our staff has been relocated down into the basement at KSN. And again, those of you who are urge you to be in shelter right now. If you have a house with a basement, get in the basement. Get in the center of the basement. JD, a new image has just come in from NextRad Doppler radar. So if there is anything on the ground at this point, I think it's safe to say it's in the heart of Wichita, moving to the east.
And again, I would hope at this point in time there's nobody who's still outside of shelter right now. I really hope that everybody who is watching is down in their basement right now. I do understand we do have our partners from Clear Channel Radio who hopefully folks may have their radios on and are listening to us as well. Stay hunkered down. If you're in the city of Wichita, stay in your shelter right now. Stay down wherever you are. Again, I want you in that basement underground if that's possible. If you've even got a crawl space. I know my home has a little, we call it a little leprechaun door. It's underneath the stairs, but it's still protected. Again, just get to where you can. The safest place is close to underground as you possibly can be, and stay there. Just stay there. Big deal. You know, just get to where you need to be and stay in that shelter if you're in the city of Wichita right now.
JD, we just got an unconfirmed report relayed from the news saying that 119th and 31st, we have some pretty heavy damage on the southwest side of town.
West side of town, okay.
So that we can still see and still hopefully be broadcasting with it. And it appears to us as that there still is the possibility of circulation in the central and eastern parts of Wichita. We would pray that it's wrapped up and is ending, but we continue to urge everyone in central and eastern Wichita to remain in shelter. We want you to get to the basement. If you have a basement, get to the lowest level of your home. If you do not have a basement, and make a small room in the center of the house with no windows. Get down into the basement. If you don't, you have an interior hallway with all the doors closed, bathroom or closet. If you are in a mobile home park in Andover, we would urge you in Andover now to be seriously considering your tornado plans and get ready to move to shelter. East Wichita, we urge all of you in the eastern half of the city of Wichita, certainly from the downtown and the Canal Route area into the eastern part of town, we urge you to remain in shelter. About the most significant storm that we're dealing with. Those of you who are elsewhere in Kansas, it's a good thing, and you should go ahead and plan on quarter to golf ball size hail. You know that tornado warnings are being expanded out ahead of the storm, as you can see on the ticker, and it looks like we can probably, at this point,
head back
into our work area and pick up our coverage and continue. However, those of you in the central and eastern parts of Wichita, we would urge you to continue to remain in shelter. Central and eastern Wichita, we urge you to remain in shelter. Still an extremely dangerous storm situation coming across East Wichita, and again, we urge you to remain in shelter if you are able to do that. It does appear, JD, that the radar that we are on is probably the best one for us at this point. And this again emphasizes that those of you at home on the east side of town in particular still need to be staying in shelter. And we do know that there have been some other tornado warnings issued for other parts of the KSN viewing area. And we are hoping that all of you are watching the storm ticker and staying abreast of those warnings so that you are ready and able to move to shelter very, very quickly. Kind of backing up through some of the reports that have been received, again, the National Weather Service has told us a number of times that there was damage on the southwest side of town. We have power poles down along I-35, 135th West, and the road is blocked. So obviously those of you who are in southwest Wichita, best to remain in place over the next couple of minutes, because we're not entirely sure how much damage we may be dealing with there on the southwest side of town. Now, JD, as I look, here's one good sign. I do still see electricity across West Wichita, and that's one of the things that we look for to tell us how much wind damage we may be looking at in the downtown area.
And you talked about, too, some of the new warnings issued, and the latest tornado warning that was issued was for Butler, Harvey, and Sedgwick counties until 4:45. The warning statement they put out says capable of producing a tornado in East Wichita and to the east. So the fact they're using capable, that is good. Storm spotters who are out there are seeing wall clouds and some rotation in some areas. But at least at this point, we've not had anything confirmed on the ground since about 20 minutes ago. So, again, that is great news in that regard.
I agree. Thanks, J.D. Now, again, we, because of our situation here, we have had to switch to our backups. Of course, being in the weather business, we are conscious of how important it is to have multiple streams of information. And so we're looking here at a little bit different look to the map, but this is the latest radar information that we have. Again, as J.D. mentioned, they're now using the word capable for that tornado. That's good, because in weather service language, in the language that we speak to each other as meteorologists, that indicates that there may be a little bit less of an indication and that something is confirmed on the ground. But remember, we had multiple reports in southwest Wichita, coming up K42, of a large destructive tornado on the ground. It is heavily wrapped up in rain. That is making it very difficult for spotters to know exactly what they're dealing with. But we would urge those of you now in southeastern Harvey, western Butler counties, eastern Sedgwick County to remain in shelter. And as I look at this radar image, I remain most concerned about East Wichita, just to the north of Kellogg, just south of K96, 21st. If I were to pick a street, this still looks like it could be something wrapped up inside it. We could still have something significant going on. So we urge you in East Wichita, over toward Benton and Andover, to get in shelter and remain there, as we still feel like, wrapped up inside all of this, we could still have some significant damage possible.